We finish at 5:30.
Finish at 5:30. Finish it half an hour.
4:30 to 5. نحمده ونصلي على رسوله الكريم أما بعد. So this is the topic on the signs of Qiyamah. Last time we covered regarding the major signs and the minor signs, just an introduction to what are the major signs and the minor signs. And then yesterday we also talked about regarding some of the minor signs which started off with the death of our beloved Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And we mentioned regarding the fighting of the Sahaba, which is also a sign, a minor sign of the Day of Judgment. The Sahaba will start to fight each other as well. And then we talked about the martyrdom of Umar radiallahu anhu and Uthman radiallahu ta'ala anhu. Another sign of the Day of Judgment, this is a minor sign, and it was to do with regarding the Battle of Jamal and the Battle of Siffin. These are the two battles which happened within the Sahaba, and these are also predicted by Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So these are predictions of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and this happened not long after Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam passed away. So you had Ali radiallahu ta'ala anhu on one side and Aisha radiallahu ta'ala anha on the other side. So you had Sahaba on both sides. So it's like almost which side do you choose? There was a group which was also in the middle, a third group which didn't get involved in either side as well. Imam Ahmad rahimahullah was asked this question regarding whose side do we choose if one side has got Sahaba and the other side has got Sahaba? How do we deal with all of this? So he was asked about this certain battle, the Battle of Jamal, the Battle of the Camel, and then he mentions regarding that the battle, that was a battle that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala saved our swords from having to have blood. So why don't we save our tongues from having to choose sides? Meaning, rather don't talk about these certain things. Meaning, this is a certain part where if the Sahaba were fighting and so forth, it doesn't, it's no real benefit in talking in so much detail. I'll just mention regarding what happened, but regarding no details and all of the things that went forth, back and forth, there was no real need. And even Imam Ahmad rahimahullah mentioned regarding, there's no need to waste our tongues on regarding these incidents, which doesn't cause us any benefit. What had happened is that obviously after Uthman radiallahu ta'ala anhu was martyred, Ali radiallahu ta'ala became in charge, and then some of the group of the Sahaba wanted revenge for obviously the killing of Uthman, and Ali radiallahu ta'ala said, yes, we'll do it, but let's stabilize the ummah first. It's still a bit of it's shaky at the moment, let's stabilize it. So his focus was to go and find the killers of Uthman, but Aisha radiallahu ta'ala and Talha, Zubayr radiallahu ta'ala anhuma, them two, and many other Sahaba were on the side of Aisha saying, come on, let's go and find the killers. And then she made her and a few others started to move and then called for the killers to be caught straight away. Ali radiallahu said, just wait for a bit, let's calm down, everyone should calm down, we're going to find them but we don't know who they are at the moment, and so forth. So they went through that, and then they eventually caused fighting, and then there's lots of miscommunication, and then eventually led towards an actual battle where two sides were actually fighting. And it's called the Battle of Jamal and the Battle of the Camel because Aisha radiallahu ta'ala was on the camel and she's on a hodaj. Hodaj is on top of the camel, you find a little like a cube on top of it where someone sits down and is fully covered by curtains, and she's sitting on the camel in that little cube thing. It's like a seat, but it's fully covered, just like a carriage almost. So that was there, and she was there on the battlefield. You can see the actual camel. You can see the camel, and it's on the battlefield while the Sahaba were there. And I don't want to go too much details on how it actually started, because both sides were having communication, and they weren't supposed to fight. and then a group of the Khawarij came out, and then from one side started to kill the other side, and they thought it was them, and then the whole war started, and they came onto the actual battlefield telling them to stop fighting, and then they continue fighting even more. So lots of miscommunication happened, and that was the Battle of Jamal between the Sahaba radiallahu ta'ala anhum. This was predicted by Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam. How was this predicted? This is one hadith mentioned in Mustadrak al-Hakim. This hadith that Aisha radiallahu ta'ala and Ali radiallahu ta'ala and the Rasul of Allah sallallahu alayhi wasallam were in one room. They're in one room together. And then Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam said, what will happen when you two will have an issue with each other? Aisha and Ali radiallahu ta'ala. So Ali said, this is not going to happen. If something happens, then we're fully respectful of one another. This is not going to happen, and so forth. So Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam replies by saying, when it does, then return her back to her residence safely. When everything happens, just return her back to her place in Medina, but make her safe. This is what the prediction was. And then 20 years later, this actually happened. So then Ali radiallahu ta'ala remembered those words, and then at the end of the battle, he sent his own daughters. Ali sent his own daughters and the other women folk of the house to go and like chaperone and escort Aisha radiallahu all the way back, protect her with some guards obviously, and protect her all the way back towards Medina and drop her off in Medina. And that's what happened. Even though they were fighting one another, but what happened? Still, there's a lots of respect shown between them. So this was the battle of Jamal and Camel. And this was a prediction of Rasulullah as a minor sign that the Sahaba will be that they will be fighting. Second battle between the Sahaba. This is not Aisha radiallahu ta'ala, she's now back home. She's in Medina. Now you go to the battle of Siffin. The battle of Siffin was between Muawiyah radiallahu ta'ala and Ali radiallahu ta'ala. So Ali radiallahu, he's trying to stabilize the Ummah, he's trying to cause some stability, and he wants to get everyone on board again. He had to take some people out because they were causing mischief. He wanted to find the killers of Uthman, and he was doing a lot. And then Muawiyah radiallahu stood up and he said he wanted also power at the same time. So Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam mentions regarding this, and this incident, that this battle is going to happen. This incident happened, a very famous incident of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And he mentions here that he was on the minbar one day and he was giving a khutbah. So he's there on the minbar giving a khutbah on a Friday, just like he usually does. And then his grandson walks inside of the masjid, and his grandson is Hassan radiallahu ta'ala, and he loves his grandson, and his grandson must be 3-4 years old, very young at the time, and he's wearing this like red thobe, like long thobe. And at those times, and even when we were younger, what did our parents used to do? Used to clothe us in clothes which is slightly larger. Why? Because so then we grow into it, right? We don't get, nowadays you get 6-month clothing, 9-month clothing, 12-month clothing, 18-month, 24. You got everything, right? And you got everything now. Everything is in a certain way. Then you change clothing after every few months. That's how the babies are. That's how the children are. And that's how parents we want to buy clothes. Back in the day, we used to wear clothing slightly longer, go into it, and that's how it was. So he was walking on his red thobe, and now coming into the masjid, and he's giving the khutbah. Rasulullah giving the khutbah. So what happens? He falls over and he hurts himself. He falls over and he hurts himself. So and then obviously, this is the khutbah. You're not supposed to speak during the khutbah. All the Sahaba watching, like, what do we do? Do we get up? Do we help him? Do we not help him? We're not supposed to talk. Like, what's supposed to happen? So eventually Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam goes down and then picks up Hassan radiallahu ta'ala an, comforts him, calms him down, and then picks him up and lifts him and then kisses him and says, this son of mine, he's his grandson, but he's saying, this son of mine is a leader, is a Sayyid, and a time will come when he shall be a cause of reconciliation between two large groups of Muslims. Two large groups of Muslims, he's going to be reconciling between the two. So Muslim and Muslim are going to fight, or they're going to have an argument and so forth, and he's going to be the one that's going to reconcile. So in front of everyone he's saying this. Obviously no one's understanding. What do you mean two Muslims are going to be fighting? This can't be possible. Everyone loves each other here. We all here in the masjid, we all here in Medina, we all love each other. How can we be fighting with one another? This was there. And Rasulullah didn't criticize both groups either. He didn't criticize both groups. Still both had positivity about one another, and there was lots of, both sides, the people in there going Ashara Mubashara. The Jannatis on one side and the Jannatis on the other side, basically. So this is a very tough situation for people to try and do. And this hadith mentions here, another hadith he mentions, in Bukhari he also mentioned this hadith, that many Muslims early in Islam, so this regarding this battle of Siffin. So the battle of Siffin, he mentioned regarding this story, and in this story obviously was Muawiyah radiallahu anhu wanting power, and Ali radiallahu ta'ala, and they're having a lot of conversations, and eventually led towards a battle. And then after a while, the whole ummah was a bit fractured, where Syria and Damascus and that area was run by Muawiyah, and the rest was run by Ali radiallahu anhu. When Ali had also passed away, then what had happened is that Hassan radiallahu came into power, and he was the Khalif. So the fifth Khalif. Ali was the fourth. He was the fifth Khalif. And what happened is that Hassan radiallahu, after a few months, he said, I can't handle this anymore. I'm just going to give my Khilafat over towards Muawiyah, and everything will be fine. Everyone follow Muawiyah. So this is what he done, and he reconciled both groups together by giving up his position and giving it to Muawiyah radiallahu ta'ala an, and Muawiyah was then in charge of the Muslims from then on, and that was the start of the Umayyad dynasty. The start of the Umayyad dynasty was started from Muawiyah, and this was the prediction coming true. So Hassan radiallahu, 30 years afterwards, 6 months he was in charge, he gave it up, and now the whole Muslim was underneath one banner, basically one person, and it was easier for everyone to try and follow. This was an incident which happened at a time where he's saying, what, the Muslims are going to fight? Everyone's here, it's normal, how are we going to fight? But yet this happened, and then the prediction came true. Another minor sign of the Day of Judgment, another minor sign, and this is mentioned, this hadith is mentioned in Bukhari, and he mentions that many Muslims early on in Islam, they complained about the oppression that was happening to them. So this is Yasir radiallahu anhu, this is Sumayya radiallahu anha, this is all of these people, Ammar radiallahu ta'ala anhu. So many people are being tortured, Bilal radiallahu being dragged in the streets in the hot burning sand, and there was so much torture going on, so much oppression from the mushrikeen of Makkah towards these Muslims, and they were complaining to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, saying, come on, give us something, what should we do? For how long is this going to go on for? And now Rasulullah sallallahu is leaning on the Kaaba. So he's on the Kaaba and he's leaning on the Kaaba, and they're asking him these questions. And this is after Dhuhr Salah and it's quite hot. So what happens? He gets up once and he asks this question. He goes, how quick do you lose hope? He goes, how quick do us people lose hope? We lose hope so fast. As in, as soon as something happens to us, we complain. As soon as something happens, we complain very quickly. And this is something which is of a quality that we have as well. We're good, everything's calm, everything's good, we've got everything, and then a calamity happens, we complain very quickly. We lose hope very quickly. And this is not what is befitting of a Muslim. Is that we have hope, and we hold on to that hope for a while, and then you have to persevere through certain trials and tribulations. We go through it. We have certain nature, our nature is such, we have to go through these things. We're built for this. We are actually built for this. This is why we go through so many different things. Some people struggle more, some people it's easier for others. But this is what we're supposed to do. We can't complain every single time something bad happens to us, that this is, why is this happening, why is this, and so forth, and complain. Rather, if it happens, persevere through it, get through it, show some sabr, and then get through the other end, and then now you feel better at the end, coming through that thing. So they were asking this question to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He goes, don't worry, a time will come. A time will come when a lady will come from Sana'a until Hadramaut, where the flock of a sheep, with her flock of sheep, fearing none except Allah, and the wolf for her sheep. What does this mean? In the times of Arabia, you find a place, Hadramaut is far, far away. Sana'a is all the way south. So it's a huge distance. It's on the edge of our Arabian Peninsula. So she wants to go, and remember this, to a lady, for her to travel with her sheep. Number one, obviously, lady traveling alone at that time was very fearful. She can get robbed very easily, and lots of things can happen to her. So she can go freely without any excuse, without any fear. No one will touch her. That's the situation and the environment that's going to come to the Muslims very soon. Don't worry, he's saying. Don't worry, this is what's going to happen very soon. Even a woman with her flock of sheep, she can go and no fear at all. She can travel from this place to that place, and in the edge of our Arabian, not just round the corner in Makkah and Medina, in the edge of our Arabian Peninsula, that's how it's going to be. So don't worry, times are tough now, but over the hill, what will happen? You find certain aspects of our religion and deen, it will spread so vast and wide that there will be sukoon, and there will be peace, and there will be people able to travel and so forth, and no one's going to worry about highway travelers and robbers and this and that. They can go and travel freely. So he's given comfort to the people. He's giving comfort to the people. This is also a prediction that Rasulullah ﷺ had, and this happened. After a while, they conquered the whole of Arabia, and then sukoon and tranquility came in that area for a while. And obviously this was going to happen very soon, and it did happen very soon. And obviously at that time ladies couldn't travel safely, and now they could at that time. And a new government will come and then give that security to everyone. So this is the minor signs of the Day of Judgment. Minor signs. I'm not even reached the major signs yet. These are small minor signs, and this is close to the time of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. We're going to go further on and then come close towards the timings nowadays. But this was what happened at that time, or close to that time of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And these are the predictions of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and they came true. We know that they came true. So we have that inside of our minds. This is to prepare ourselves. Again, why we're learning about the signs of judgment, is the Day of Judgment, is so then we can prepare ourselves mentally for these times, so then we know what's going to happen, and then we can prepare ourselves better for that time. And then there are certain minor signs that's going to come on. Then I'll move on towards the general trends of the minor signs, and then go on towards the major signs as well, inshaAllah. So I wanted to talk about regarding the other minor sign as well, but there's one minor sign which will take quite long. I won't start it now. But one important point in the minor signs that we've learnt so far is, I gave the example of the Sahaba, and they were arguing and they fought one another. So that was obviously a part of history that we don't really go into too much, and they fought. So the two Muslims. But what had happened is, because the communication wasn't there, and there was lots of people inside of both parties that were causing trouble, and they were calling the Khawarij group. The Khawarij group, the Kharijites, they caused a lot of trouble by going to one camp, and they started causing trouble and actually started killing people and saying it was them, and they thought it was the opposite, and that's how the battle started. But obviously you find that sometimes good Muslims on one side and good Muslims on the other side, they can argue. They don't have to agree on certain points, but they can argue, and they can have certain arguments and difference of opinion. And it's fine to have difference of opinion as long as you keep it respectful with one another. A person thinks differently, or he has a different opinion on something, don't shut him off, don't cut him off, don't say this to him and that to him and say he's not my brother anymore. No, they're still Muslims, and both of you could still end up in Jannah, and both of you could still taste the sweetness of Jannah and so forth, and they still be successful in this dunya and akhirah. But you have some sort of differences. It's okay to have differences, just keep it respectful. We say ikhtilaf. The word is ikhtilaf. To have ikhtilaf with one another is fine. Don't have khilaf. Don't go against one another and khilaf of one another. Khilaf is now, I'm against you, I don't want to know you, don't speak to me, that's not something that we want. Say, no, I respect you, you have a difference of opinion, but this is mine. We agree to disagree, it's fine. Having respect with another person's opinion is very important for us. It doesn't cause trouble. Once you go khilaf against someone, this is my way or the highway, and this is black and white, and everything's like this, then this is can be quite troublesome for the person. And then what could happen is that you will start to create friction between your Muslim brothers, and you don't want that. Especially on the day, especially in Ramadan, and when it comes to Ramadan and the last 10 nights of Ramadan, when you want to ask forgiveness from Allah, but your brother you're not speaking to, or your sister you're not speaking to, or your other family members you're not speaking to because you cut them off. Sila Rahmi means to join ties, and you cut ties, then this is not going to be correct. And this is your du'as don't get accepted because you're cutting ties with the other family members and your Muslim brothers. Don't cut ties with your Muslim brothers. Keep them, keep them at a distance if you have to, but still keep them. Say salam to them and be respectful of them. But don't make it such that you're completely cutting them off. That's not part of Islam, and it's not what we want. And our du'as don't get accepted as well because of this. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to grant us the ability to act upon what's been said, and make it such that whatever we are doing it for Allah's sake, and grant us aman and security in our lives. And for those people that are struggling around the world, especially in Palestine and Gaza, grant them security and aman and peace inside of this dunya. grant them success in whatever their endeavors are. نستغفرك ونتوب إليك. اللهم ربنا آتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة وقنا عذاب النار. اللهم ربنا ظلمنا أنفسنا وإن لم تغفر لنا وترحمنا لنكونن من الخاسرين. اللهم ربنا هب لنا من أزواجنا وذرياتنا قرة أعين واجعلنا للمتقين إماما. اللهم رب ارحمهما كما ربياني صغيرا. اللهم حاسبني حسابا يسيرا. اللهم أعني على ذكرك وشكرك وحسن عبادتك. ربنا لا تزغ قلوبنا بعد إذ هديتنا وهب لنا من لدنك رحمة إنك أنت الوهاب. ربنا إنك جامع الناس ليوم لا ريب فيه إن الله لا يخلف الميعاد. اللهم اهدنا فيمن هديت وعافنا فيمن عافيت وتولنا فيمن توليت وبارك لنا فيما أعطيت وقنا شر ما قضيت فإنك تقضي ولا يقضى عليك إنه لا يذل من واليت ولا يعز من عاديت تباركت ربنا وتعاليت. نستغفرك ونتوب إليك. اللهم أيد الإسلام والمسلمين. اللهم أعز الإسلام والمسلمين. اللهم انصر الإسلام والمسلمين في كل مكان. اللهم انصر إخواننا المسلمين في فلسطين. اللهم انصر إخواننا المسلمين في فلسطين. اللهم اغفر للمؤمنين والمؤمنات والمسلمين والمسلمات الأحياء منهم والأموات إنك سميع قريب مجيب الدعوات. سبحان ربك رب العزة عما يصفون وسلام على المرسلين والحمد لله رب العالمين. آمين.
أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله. أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله. أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله. حي على الصلاة. حي على الصلاة. حي على الفلاح. حي على الفلاح. الله أكبر الله أكبر. لا إله إلا الله. آمين.
بس
صح.